green flag comes out and we are underway.
Oh, no! They hit. Oh, and now trouble. Oh, yeah.
Over turn 5, known as Madness.
Oh, it will work.
Oh.
Into China Beach. Gene Martin taking a look to the inside.
The 2012 NASA Championships presented by Toyo Tires is brought to you by BF Goodrich Tires.
Hello, I'm Peter Calhoun, Motorsport Manager for BF Goodrich Tires. BF Goodrich is proud to be official tire supplier to Nissan SpecZ at the NASA National Championships in Mid-Ohio in 2012. BF Goodrich has a long heritage in supporting grassroots motorsport, and this year is no exception. Currently competing on our G-Force R1 DOT competition radial, the Nissan SpecZ competitors have a control tire that offers the ultimate in performance. In addition, this year we introduced our G-Force SportCom 2 ultra high performance street tire, suitable for all types of sports sedans, sports cars, and family sedans across America. Visit bfgoodrichtires.com for additional information.
Bum bum. 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 Bum bum.
Honda, proud partner of the IZOD IndyCar Series.
I don't know, some people call me one of the top builders. I guess I am, but I don't see any other way for me personally but to go after it every day. So that's what I do.
What do you drive? Is it inspiring? Was it built by a behemoth car maker? Or insightful craftsmen obsessing over the details, building better cars for a discerning few? Are you one of the few who care about what you drive and how it drives? We're with you because we believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. We build Mazdas. What do you drive?
Hi, I'm Brian Miller. Experience the Mustang driving experience at Miller Motorsports Park. Drive a real race car on a real racetrack. MillerMotorsportsPark.com.
Good morning and welcome to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course for the final day of competition here at the 2012 NASA Championships presented by Toyo Tires. Hello everyone, my name is Rob Klepper alongside John Lindsay and Mother Nature cooperating with us today. We had some rain yesterday morning, ended up being a beautiful day, and today looks just as beautiful. A little bit of cloud in the sky, a few clouds in the sky, but we expect a great day of racing. John, we're going to crown a lot of national champions here this afternoon.
We sure are, Rob. A lot of national champions still to go. We have to lock in the final results for our time trial series. And as you said, Mother Nature has given us a little bit of a canvas in the sky here, but I was watching the Weather Channel this morning while I was enjoying my Best Western breakfast, and there's a 50% chance of rain and a 50% chance of no rain, so might be okay.
That makes perfect sense. Well, again, we'll be live all day today on SpeedcastTV.com, so tell your friends, tell your enemies if you want to see some great road racing here at the very historic and picturesque Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Make sure you tell them to come right here to SpeedcastTV.com. For more information on the National Autosport Association, you go to their official website online at NASAProRacing.com. And, of course, the event website for this weekend's event, NASAChampionships.com. And, of course, yesterday we mentioned we're on Twitter, NASA Pro Racing. You can hashtag NASA Champs, hashtag Mid-Ohio. You can also like us on Facebook, facebook.com/NASA Pro Racing. Yesterday, John, a lot of great racing, a lot of dominating performances. We crowned 11 national champions. It started out in the rain, very slick yesterday morning. Mother Nature said, you know what, we'll give you one race in the rain. We're going to dry it up for the rest of the day. It was a beautiful day, crowned a lot of national champs, and saw some new guys on the podium. We sure did, and it really was a thinking man's race early in the day. We had the wet race for American Iron Extreme, Super Touring 1, Super Touring 2, and you saw a lot of different selections. We kind of, in our post-race publicity, we really got an idea where
just different selections of tire choices, suspension settings, and strategy really paid off for a lot of folks.
Today here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, again, we'll be running the Pro Course, 13 turns, 2.25 mile in distance. A lot of historic areas of this course. The keyhole, of course, China Beach, Madness, my favorite area. A lot of elevation changes. A very, we said picturesque, and this place, when you come into it, it's like a country club. You don't expect to have a racetrack here. It's just a beautiful facility.
It absolutely is, and we were hanging out this morning, and both, you and I were sitting there and commenting how peaceful it was, like being out in the country, and there just happened to be some racing tarmac right there.
Yeah, an awesome facility, folks. If you ever get a chance to come out here, not only for the NASA championships, for any of the events here at Mid-Ohio, they run a lot of different events throughout the year. You can go to their website, to midohio.com, for more information. You can also find them on Facebook at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. So a lot of information online, and you've even ran a few laps here at this track.
I have. I've raced a little Nissan Sentra here. Also taken rides in a lot of different cars here. I think I brought my Sentra back in 2003, it must have been, somewhere in there, and had an awesome race and really enjoyed it. And it's just an amazing track to drive with a lot of rhythm, a lot of elevation changes, a lot of really subtle places where you can make or break a good lap. And we've been watching the time trial guys warming up this morning and trying to notch some laps, and they're really going for it. And we've seen a couple times where they've exceeded the limit a little bit and ended up in that fantastically manicured gravel that's off course in China Beach, or right here in front of our booth on the front straight. So you really have to watch it, but it still is very, very enjoyable to drive here.
Well, as we get set to go racing here, the final day of competition at the NASA Championships, let's go down trackside for pre-race ceremonies. We'd like to thank Wendy Reeser for singing the greatest song of the land, the national anthem, to get things kicked off here in the final day of competition at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Again, alongside the Chief Divisional Director for the National Auto Sport Association. My name is Rob Klepper. Of course, his name, John Lindsay. I mentioned your title, but not your name. John Lindsay, thanks for coming back here. Final day of competition, big day of competition here. 4 big races. We're going to crown 15 national champions in addition to the time trial guys still coming out to try and lay down that good lap.
They will be out there trying to get their best sessions. We saw some lead changes that happened in the time trial classes yesterday. They found kind of those magic sessions I believe some more records were, or not records, but more class champions were changed around in time trial this morning in some of the sessions, so that's really exciting, and it ain't over until it's over.
We mentioned the 4 national championship races. We'll start things off with the CMC, which is the Camaro Mustang Challenge, of course, the Factory 5 Racing FFR, and the new class this year, SpecZ. That will be our first race of the day. Before we get to that, let's go down and introduce the third member of our broadcast team. He'll be down on pit lane all day long. Let's go down to Jeremy Scott.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to SpeedCast TV. Let's talk to David Dirks. He is the inaugural SpecZ pole sitter for the National Championships. First of all, congratulations, and it's going to be a good race for you. Let's talk about your thoughts in going into this first event of the day today.
Well, you know, we're just going to drive it the best we can. I mean, we're still feeling out this car a little bit. We think we got a pretty good setup on it today. You know, the weather conditions are favorable, so we're just going to drive it like we stole it.
First pole sitter for the SpecZ class. You excited?
Oh, I'm super excited. I was so excited when this class was introduced in January. I was thinking about going GTS, but when this class came out, I was all over it.
Well, congratulations. Your name's now in the history books. It's the first SpecZ wearing David. Good luck. He is our pole sitter. We also have FFR and CMC. CMC will be doing a standing start, but today our primary focus is on the SpecZ class, a brand new class. About 6 cars are starting today. Watch and see how this class fillers up.
Thanks a lot, Jeremy Scott. And again, enjoy your day down there in pit lane. You'll be talking to all the winners as well. And let's talk a little bit about the SpecZ, new to National Autosport Station this year. And kind of when I was reading through the rules, as I was reading through the rules, that's an awesome shot right there, I have to say. It seemed to me that they drive the Nissan 350Z, and I kind of compared it to the Spec Miata class, where it is a spec class with a spec car. And was that the idea when you guys kind of designed this thing?
It really was. What we were looking for, and what we look for in any spec class, is where we can find a car that's reasonably available for $8,000 to $10,000, somewhere in there, even cheaper in some cases, that's fun just right out of the box, and that's easily modifiable with straight bolt-on parts that you can find just about anywhere. And then you can take that car out, not have to do a lot of tuning and tweaking all the time, so you're just right there and competitive right from the start. And the Z is a great car. You can find them all over. They're very fun to drive, even just with no preparation, very stock. So we've had excellent support from Nissan Motorsports. Jeremy Crozet, our kind of man of all seasons, Renaissance man. He wrote the rules for this one, really worked hard with Nissan. Nissan has had amazing support for the class, with big contingency dollars even just on the regional level, and really helping us with developing the class going forward.
Turning a little bit, CMC, Camaro Mustang Challenge, kind of the opposite end of the spectrum from the SpecZ, but that kind of brings back the old rivalry Ford versus Chevy, which I kind of enjoy.
It does, but CMC is not that far off of SpecZ, where the cars are still very close to factory preparation levels, but it is really a good V8 pony car battle. Great class. It's been around in NASA for many, many years, and we really are happy to see how the class has evolved and developed, and we are looking forward to seeing a great CMC race again today.
And also in this first race, the Factory 5 Challenge cars will be out as well.
These are awesome cars. These are the Factory 5 Roadsters. They look like the classic Roadsters from the old days. They recently got a power upgrade. Before that, they were using very stock Ford 302 5-liter engines with minimal preparation and minimal modifications. They have a little more horsepower for this season, so they're a bit faster, but they are wonderful to watch. They make a great noise, fun to drive, and they really, really look cool going down the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course here.
Yep, if you're just joining us here on SpeedCast TV, we're on the Pro Course, 2.25 miles, 13 turns, very historic racetrack. This year celebrating 61 years of racing action, so if you ever get a chance to come out here and check out a race, certainly a good idea. We mentioned the 4 races that we'll see today, as it looks like cars going to be making their way out on the track. So we'll also see the 944 specs, the Spec E30s, the Spec 986, and then of course the PTA, the STRs, and the SUs. So Performance Touring will be out here a little bit later on today. As cars now making their way out onto the racetrack, we'll go ahead and give you your starting grid for our first race of the day here on the final day at the NASA Championships. FFR will be the first out on the racetrack. They will be taking the flying start for FFR. And here is your lineup. On the pole will be the 5 car of Paul Arnold. To the outside will be the 8 car of Paul Kaiser. Starting third, the 48 of John George. To the outside of him will be the 29 of Greg Wellingoff. Inside row number 5, a 3-time national champion, the 64 of Scott McKay. And to the outside, the 4 of Eric Kostema. Row number 4 on the inside, the 42 of Tom Lavelle, then Carl Thompson III in the 1 car, followed by the 49 of Brian Sanders, then the 39 of Peter LaRose. Wayne Peterson in the 62, followed by the 77 car of Gregory Wellingoff, and the final FFR car, the 6 of Randall Baskin.
Following FFR, SpecZ will also take a flying start on the back straight. We have our pole sitter that we heard from Jeremy, with David Dirks on the pole for SpecZ, followed by Richard Baldwin. Peter McIntosh II in the 3rd position. 4th position in SpecZ is Richard Kulak, then Clark Crawford, Bill Steinhoff, and Jeremy Cressette brings up the final position in SpecZ. CMC will do a standing start on our front straight here. They will be led by Derek Wright. Next to him is Bob Denton, then Kent Owens, Chris Ferraro, Cody Powell in the next spot, Timothy Bennett up next, Daniel Alford, Joe Bogatic, and the last position in CMC is Craig Capaldi, followed by a late addition champion from last year, Anders Schablon.
Yep, he will be tagging the tail of the CMC starting grid there. So again, 3 national championships up for grabs as cars make their way onto the racetrack and get set for the race. Again, a 45-minute race here. We don't count laps. The 45 minutes starts the second they leave the starting grid.
This is true, so we go from the minute they roll off until the minute the checker flies. So let's get on our Samson Racing Communications radio network and let's raise Jeremy Cressette starting in that SpecZ class. Let's see if Jeremy's there. Jeremy Cressette, this is John Lindsay and Rob Kreider in the Speedcast booth. Are you ready for your SpecZ race?
I think so, John. We finished up the transformation last night about 2 a.m. We had to fix up a part, a little $100 part that had taken us out of the qualifying race on Friday, so I think we're all good to go.
Great job, Jeremy. We'll look forward to seeing you having a good result there, and good luck, my friend.
Thanks a lot, guys, and hello to my loved ones and family at home.
Great, and you'll notice that I made a goof there. It was Rob Klepper, not Rob Kreider. Rob Kreider is my partner on the Go Racing TV Speed News magazine that I do, so a little bit of a brain fade
We'll let
there.
that slide. We'll let that slide. H2, Jeremy Cressette won yesterday in Honda Challenge 2, picking up a national championship and trying to win the first ever national championship here in SpecZ. So a pretty historic day for you guys as well as your first championship of the new series.
Oh, big time. It's the first race for SpecZ, and you know, really credit to Jeremy. You know, I hate to always be singing his praises, but I can't help myself. He was up till 1 in the morning changing the master cylinder. Nissan actually helped him out and found that part at a Nissan dealer down in Dublin, Ohio. Drove down there, spent all night working on it, so he is really dedicated to the class, and we're thrilled to see our SpecZ race, our first SpecZ championship race coming off here at Mid-Ohio.
Well, if we look at the SpecZ qualifying races on Thursday and Friday, it was David Dirks who won both of those. Dirks on the pole, obviously, out of Loveland, Colorado, regular with the Rocky Mountain Series. On Thursday in CMC was Chris Ferraro. Friday, Cody Powell picked up the qualifying race win. In FFR, Paul Arnold won Thursday and Friday, driver that finished 3rd in this race 1 year ago out of Franklin, Tennessee, swept the qualifying races, and that's why he is on the pole. So flying start for the FFR, flying start for SpecZ, and standing start here for Camaro Mustang Challenge. And it looks like we are set to go. The green flag comes out, and we are underway. First national championship for SpecZ here at Mid-Ohio, and they are not wasting any time as they go 2 and almost 3 wide, down now up into madness.
Look at that good start that Jeremy Cressette got. He was looking for a hole there, trying to find it, and he is just already on the gas.
Down madness now into turn number 7. They'll head underneath the Honda bridge there. And everybody trying to fill their car out, fill the race track out as well. Cressette kind of moving away from everyone else is right now the 28 car running in that 2nd spot. That is Richard Baldwin, who started 2nd here in SpecZ. You can see the FFR cars taking the green flag here.
Looks like Jeremy is really on a hard charge there. David Dirks still out front. You can see David has a pretty good gap as we come around the carousel turn. We'll see them come by the start-finish line for the first time around.
Yeah, it looked like Baldwin got a little loose there in the carousel turn, losing a spot to the 3-car Peter McIntosh. So at the stripe, it's David Dirks, Jeremy Crozet, Peter McIntosh, Richard Baldwin, Clark Crawford, and Richard Kulak in SpecZ now as they head into the keyhole.
Look at all the time that Jeremy's already made up there. He is really on a hard charge. Coming from the back, and he's already on David Dirks' tailpipes right there.
David Dirks in the 76 car. Out of the keyhole, down the back straightaway, through the kink, one of the fastest places here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course.
And we should note that David is a multiple champion in the Rocky Mountain region. He's won a national championship in 944 Spec, and he also has won championships in other organizations. So he is a real, like Jeremy, a specialist in many different types of cars. I know he has a lot of Porsche experience. So both of these guys are real hot shoes, and they are starting to pull away a little bit from the rest of the field there in SpecZ.
Underneath the Honda bridge, David Dirks, who started on the pole for SpecZ in the 76. We mentioned a regular with the Rocky Mountain region. A lot of cool regions. You live anywhere in this country, you can find a region to go race with the National Autosport Association. Nice battle for the lead here in SpecZ, and you talked about Crozet slowly reeling in Dirks, and it looks like he's caught him now.
Oh, he is right on him as we come around the carousel turn here. Jeremy is starting to look at Dave and seeing where his weaknesses are, and I bet he's starting to plot things out as they are starting to catch up to the back of the FFR field there. We'll see how that strategy comes into play and if they're able to use picks and kind of use that traffic to either one of their advantages.
Right by the GoPro speed shot heading into turn number 1. A very fast part of the racetrack, though a pretty hard left-hander in turn 1. Now into turn 2 called the keyhole. And Crozet looking a little to the outside, maybe trying a little crossover move here to diamond the corner. Trying to get a run down the back straightaway now, and it looks like he's lost a little ground to Dirks.
He did, and Jeremy's best time so far is a 1:38.119, and Dirks is running a best of a 1:38.956, which was that last flying lap. So Jeremy's a little quicker, and I think right now he's just looking for different places, trying to understand what David's going to do in different places on this track.
And as you mentioned, catching the tail end of the FFR as they head back into Madness now, and very close, going up the hill, back down the hill. We see all the fans up there. One of the best places to watch here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Again, this is the battle for the lead in SpecZ. The Black 76, David Dirks, driver that won both the qualifying events Thursday and Friday. Jeremy Crozet, who started deep in the field after having issues all week long, and is very fast, reeled him in about a lap and a half, and now a battle for the lead, nose to tail. And at this point, you got to think, is the 25 car just waiting for the 76 to make a mistake?
Oh, of course he is. And you saw that Dave Dirks tried to get out there and use that one FFR car, that red, white, and blue car, as a little bit of a pick, but he didn't make it happen. But you can see also that the FFR car still had a good deal of squirt down through Thunder Valley and was right there with him. So this is really going to be a chess game between these two guys as they come through this lap traffic.
Yep, nose to tail glued together. Crozet taking a peek to the inside. Now will be the outside as they head into keyhole.
Neck and neck.
Side by side. Can he make it work? Very tough to pass on the outside and make it stick down here in the keyhole. He'll pull in right behind the 76, and they'll be nose to tail once again as they head down the back straightaway through the kink.
What a great race already in these early stages of the SpecZ race. Drag race down there and another drag race here. Now the problem is, if you're on that outside line, you got to drive around a little farther. So we will see. They may even touch mirrors here. So this is a big battle for the lead here. Jeremy didn't get it done, but he is really pushing David Dirks as hard as he can, and I bet we will see a couple of lead changes back and forth as we get through this race.
Well, at this point, you can see Crozet. He's trying the outside, now trying the inside, coming down Madness, not going to happen, and he's doing everything he can at this point to get by David Dirks. He's going to lose a little bit right now because he tried to make a move and it didn't happen. So Dirks has a little bit of breathing room, but that 76 car knows that the 25 is there. He knows he's going to have to worry about this guy, and now that he's going to have to run him down. So the 76 car is doing a good job, but that 25 car lightning quick, a little bit quicker than your leader. as they head now through Carousel and back to the front straightaway.
And you can see that they're really starting to work their tires. Now, SpecZ is on a different tire than our customary Toyo. They are on the BFG I think which tire is it there? It's the RA1, or not the RA1, the R1. And that is a new Comp TA that they have developed, and is a really fantastic race tire. And SpecZ is on that tire. You can see that they're starting to get a little bit hot back and forth, but they are really consistent. It doesn't seem like they're sliding a lot. It doesn't seem like they're going away at all, because the lap times are still just wonderfully fast and wonderfully consistent.
Yeah, and these guys being the first national championship race, I mean, after the qualifying races, have time to work on these cars and try and make them better. And right now, David Dirks and Jeremy Crosette, obviously the two fastest cars. And here comes the 25 again, trying the outside, through the kink, down the hill, off-camber turn up into Madness.
I think there was a bit of strategy there, because did you see when the noses of the two cars dipped at different points? It looked like Jeremy was on the brakes earlier, and maybe he was thinking,
oh, he gets sideways right there.
So much for not working the tires over, huh?
Yeah, getting a little sideways. That is going to slow him down a little bit, and again, give David Dirks a little bit of breathing room. But Dirks knows if I can run a perfect lap, if I don't make any mistakes, it's going to be extremely tough for the 25 to get by me. So that's his incentive right now, is to run the perfect laps, because he knows Crosette may be a little bit faster, but it's going to take a lot to get by him if he does not make a mistake.
This is true, and it's going to take a major bobble for David Dirks to get any kind of mistake here that will give Jeremy the inside line that he's really looking for. You can see as we come down a lot of places, Jeremy tries that outside line, pulls right along the side, but it costs him on the exit of the corner when he comes out, and then David's able to pull away a little bit.
Yeah, and also heats those tires up a little bit, so he may now try and run a good lap by himself to cool the tires down and slowly try and reel back in David Dirks to make a run at this SpecZ National Championship, as these guys continue to battle, heading back into Keyhole now. Dirks again on the low line, and Crosette, you can see already slowly reeling him back in as they battle for the lead here on the back straightaway. Their lap times the last time by, Dirks about a 10th quicker.
Jeremy's got to make sure to keep right on his bumper, because if David's able to get in there and set that pick, use a little bit of a screen play there, Jeremy may not be able to catch back up to him, because they're both running times 1:38:137 for Dirks' last lap, 1:38:251 for Crosette's last lap. So they are just absolutely flying, and I don't think there's any way that these two guys could be any more similar in their driving abilities.
Well, it looks like now that with Crosette laying the pressure to the 76, that Dirks is going to have to drive this thing a little bit harder, maybe harder than he wants to try and keep the 25 behind him. Now, as you mentioned, the strategy behind that is try to leave the 76 to make a mistake, and that's what Crosette's doing here. Is he caught back up to him, he's laying on that rear bumper, not touching him, but letting him know, I'm right here, man. If you make a mistake, I'm going to make it happen.
He's right there. So we have some more lap traffic here coming up in a fairly critical zone for these guys. The FFRs will probably have the same kind of field, or same kind of speed through there, so we'll see what happens.
And of course, over to the FFR field as we see the 5 car. That is Paul Arnold, the driver that won Thursday and Friday qualifying events up through Madness. He is your leader. John George right now runs second, Paul Kaiser third, Greg Wellingoff fourth, and Scott McKay rounds out your top 5. So that is your leader right now, kind of on cruise control in FFR, Paul Arnold in the 5 car.
And Paul's running times of about a 1:36, and the other fellas are a little bit slower. So it looks like he has checked out a little bit and is really starting to put some distance on that FFR field.
And we mentioned earlier, Arnold finished third in the national championship race here at Mid-Ohio last year. Currently second in Midwest points, third in Great Lakes points. So looking for that national title, and right now has got a very good lead on the rest of the FFR. As we switch gears over to CMC, that is the blue number 14, your current leader, Chris Ferraro.
And Rob, we should note that Chris has just reset the lap record time here at Mid-Ohio with his front-running performance in CMC.
Through the Honda Bridge, Ferraro finished third in this race last year, won on Thursday in the qualifying event, current point leader in the Southeast region. They're in that 14 car. So if you're a Ford guy and you're in CMC and you win, that's like bragging rights for the whole year.
Oh, it's huge. It's absolutely huge. You just lord that over the Chevy guys and the Pontiac guys for the rest of the year.
So again, as we eyeball Chris Ferraro leading right now in CMC. Great battle we saw earlier in SpecZ. The 6-car. Check out the 5-car Paul Arnold leading FFR right now as Ferraro heads by the GoPro Speed Shot into turn number 1.
And an interesting story about Ferraro from last year. He was actually doing really well in the CMC race, and then he somewhat ran out of gas and just got passed right at the last minute there.
14 car working his way through the keyhole, down the back straightaway through kink. Still very early in this national championship race. About 28 minutes left, and again, it's not about laps, it's all about time. One of the highest speed areas at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, down the back straightaway into the China Beach area where you don't want to end up just to the left of your screen there. You'll move into China Beach. Nice big sandy area, but it's cool to look at, but you don't want to end up there.
You definitely don't, because with all the rain we had over the last couple days, you're going to dig in pretty deep. I had dinner last night with Chris Cabetto, who was in the American Iron Race, and he said he went in there.
And we have a new leader in SpecZ. Jeremy Crozet made the pass on David Dirks. Slides high a little bit there, coming through carousel. We'll see him here on the front straightaway, but as they cross the stripe, a new leader in SpecZ. Remember, Jeremy won Honda Challenge 2 yesterday here at Mid-Ohio, and now is leading the first ever national championship race for SpecZ. Dirks second, Peter McIntosh on the podium right now in third, then Baldwin, Crawford, and Kulak rounding out your field for SpecZ.
And Jeremy and David have been trading the lap record back and forth throughout this whole race. And now that Jeremy's got a little bit of a breakaway going, he's dropped down to a 1:36.866 as his best lap time. David's best is a 1:37.570, so that's a bit of a difference in best lap times. And you can see Jeremy now that he's got some clear air, kind of like we saw in the Honda Challenge 2 race yesterday. He's starting to open it up a little bit.
Well, and earlier in the week, you know, the SpecZ cars were turning 138s, low 138s, and they've just been getting faster and faster and faster this whole week, learning the racetrack with this car, learning what the car likes at this racetrack, and they're just going to continue to get faster. And when you have a guy like Crozet that starts deep, races his way right to the front, a veteran of the sport, a national champion, and you know, he's going to be able to learn a lot in a short period of time and make his car fast, and it certainly paid off here today.
This is true, and it's a brand new class. We've gone to from 0 to 7 or 8 cars in 7 short months, so it really shows the popularity and the grip that this class has on the imagination of NASA racers. We're looking at Pete McIntosh right now, friend of mine from the northeast region of NASA, races with his dad as well. They run Corvettes as well as this SpecZ, and he is really starting to charge up as well. And he has dropped his lap times down in that high 137 range too. So let's not count everything out just yet. I don't think our podium is decided for our first SpecZ National Championship race.
Yeah, yesterday we saw guys checking out, and then guess what? Caution comes out, bunches them all back up, and throws a monkey wrench into their plans. And you know, that could possibly happen. You just never know how these National Championship races are going to go. McIntosh had a good run Thursday, finished second and third on Friday in his qualifying race. So gaining ground, trying to run these guys down, stay on the podium at this point as he heads down the back straightaway.
And it looks like Crozet has put an FFR between him and the next 2 steps on the podium. That's significant as we head into Madness, because these guys may have a little more grip going through there, but boy is it hard to get a clean pass done in that Madness complex.
That's David Dirks there in the black number 76. Crozet right there to the left of your screen, down the hill in Madness. And then behind Dirks, of course, is Pete McIntosh in the red and white number 3 car. So having to battle other Nissan 350Zs as well as cruising through the slower FFR traffic, it makes for an interesting national championship race, which is kind of neat when you come out here to Mid-Ohio.
It's true, and you see that all 3 of them had to deal with that yellow car in different ways. McIntosh, I think, got the worst of that deal, but all 3 of those guys had to manage that lap traffic in order to keep in the pace and up front in the podium in SpecZ.
So through the carousel turn, now onto the front straightaway. Jeremy Crozet leads SpecZ. David Dirks second as he crosses the stripe, and Peter McIntosh right now runs in third. A lot of great racing here in our first race of the afternoon, the final day here at Mid-Ohio. We'll take a break. When we come back, more action here at the historic Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. The 2012 NASA Championships presented by Toyo Tires is brought to you by BF Goodrich Tires.
Hello, I'm Peter Calhoun, Motorsport Manager for BF Goodrich Tires. BF Goodrich is proud to be official tire supplier to Nissan SpecZ at the NASA National Championships in Mid-Ohio in 2012. BF Goodrich has a long heritage in supporting grassroots motorsport, and this year is no exception. Currently competing on our G-Force R1 DOT competition radial, the Nissan SpecZ competitors have a control tire that offers the ultimate in performance. In addition, this year we introduced our G-Force SportCom 2 ultra high performance street tire, suitable for all types of sports sedans, sports cars, and family sedans across America. Visit bfgoodrichtires.com for additional information.
Bum bum. 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 Bum bum.
Honda, proud partner of the IZOD IndyCar Series.
I don't know, some people call me one of the top builders. I guess I am, but I don't see any other way for me personally but to go after it every day. So that's what I do.
What do you drive? Is it inspiring? Was it built by a behemoth car maker? Or insightful craftsmen obsessing over the details, building better cars for a discerning few? Are you one of the few who care about what you drive and how it drives? We're with you because we believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. We build Mazdas. What do you drive?
Hi, I'm Brian Miller. Experience the Mustang driving experience at Miller Motorsports Park. Drive a real race car on a real racetrack. MillerMotorsportsPark.com.
Welcome back to the very historic, picturesque Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course as we're watching first event of the day. And it looks like we have a full course caution as we were eyeballing the FFR cars out on the racetrack. So the caution coming out, full course caution here for the first time in our first event of the day. John Lindsay alongside Rob Klepper for the 2012 NASA Championships presented by Toyo Tires. It looks like the 29 car, Greg Wellingoff, spinning over there in turn one, so bringing out the full course caution.
This is really going to work to David Dirks' advantage, and you can see that Wellinghoff is stalled in kind of a tricky place there, right in an impact zone, so they have to get him out of there. They're bringing the pace car out, slow everybody down. Jeremy Crozet, of course, is ruining the full course caution. It looks like David Dirks is right there behind Scott McKay, number 64 in the FFR class. Scott himself a three-time national champion in the FFR class. So hopefully they will get Wellinghoff cleared out of there pretty quick. And they will go back to green flag racing, but this will give David Dirks a chance to collect himself a little bit, cool his tires off, and he'll be right there, just one car away from Jeremy Crozet.
Frank Wellinghoff there from just down the road in Dayton, Ohio, ran 4th Thursday, 5th on Friday. The qualifying events finished up 13th in the national championship here at Mid-Ohio 1 year ago. So we will line these cars all back up, single file style. They'll go green on the back straightaway. So once we get Wellinghoff picked up and the safety crews do a quick check of the racetrack, make sure we are all good to go, we'll send them back to green flag racing here on the back straightaway. You know, we talked about it before. Crozet checked out, had it wrapped up, was all happy, and then all of a sudden caution comes out and it really throws a monkey wrench because you may have a factory 5 car in front of you, a CMC car behind you, and two 350 SpecZ's 2 cars back, and you're going to have to worry about them all at this point.
And it's a little different than what we had yesterday with Yanis Siunis in the Spec Miata race, because at least Jeremy has a little breathing room. He's got a few FFRs between, well, actually one FFR between him and David Dirks, whereas Giannis had everybody right on his back bumper for that restart.
So right now, John George, your leader in FFR. We mentioned Jeremy Crozet, of course, leading in the SpecZ class. You can see him there, the 25 car. So the FFR will be the first car to take off here when we get set to go back to green.
You can see John George there as our FFR leader. Our running order for FFR right now is John George in first, Paul Kaiser in second position, Gregory Wellinghoff in third, Eric Kostema and Scott McKay in the fifth position in FFR.
In SpecZ, Jeremy Crozet out front, David Dirks still second, Pete McIntosh in the 3-car third, then Richard Baldwin, Clark Crawford, and Richard Kulak, your top 6 there in SpecZ.
CMC, our top 5, Chris Ferraro still leading, followed by Derek Wright, Bob Denton, Anders Shablon moved up from that last position into 4th now, and then Kent Owens in the 5th position, rounding out our top 5 in our CMC class.
Looks a little bit lighter there on the front straightaway from the GoPro speed shot. Sun peeking out there, a lot of clouds in the sky, but looking like a beautiful day here in central Ohio, Lexington, Ohio, north of Columbus.
South of Cleveland.
Here in the Buckeye State.
Absolutely, Rob, and it looks like I have word here from our control tower that we will be green this time by.
So John George will set the pace in FFR in the 48 car. Out of New Hampshire, picked up a probably wasn't too thrilled last year with the DNF, so really trying to turn things around this year in the national championships. Ran 2nd and 4th in the qualifiers, so he has got clear track in front of him, and that's got to make him pretty happy at this point, not have to worry about any of the slower traffic for a while at least, as we get set to go back to green. On the back straightaway, FFR, CMC, and SpecZ looking for their national championship. Green flag is out. We are back underway in a 3-car battle as we head down to the bottom of the hill here up into Madness, and George looks like he is going to hold them off.
Look at this situation with the SpecZs. They're all back in the train right there.
Up over Madness, back into turn at number 7, headed toward the Honda Bridge. And you see David Dirks there in the 76, still with that one FFR car in front of him to try and run down Jeremy Crozet. And here we go, a battle for the lead once again. The 48 car of John George, who got passed momentarily by the 8 of Paul Kaiser, trying to get back underneath, can't do it. So Kaiser now out front in FFR after a great restart. And he will lead them down through Thunder Valley, through Carousel, and back up here to the front straightaway. So Paul Kaiser now out in front of FFR.
And again, that restart was really a big deal for Paul Kaiser because George had put a little bit of time on him. And now Paul Kaiser managed to capitalize on that, and John George has been dropped one step down on the podium.
And of course, Paul Kaiser, defending champ in FFR, trying to go back-to-back.
And here comes the SpecZs as well. And look at right now Dirks and McIntosh. McIntosh is taking that inside line. He might take it away from him. He's got the preferred line. Oh, but he didn't get it done. Oh, in contact.
Into the side.
Side-to-side contact with Kostema, and now McIntosh is spun out, and there is chaos down there in the keyhole turn with people trying not to get stuck. You're seeing them trying to get out of there. Boy, that was unfortunate.
Well, you know, these guys on a restart, when they talk about the best chance to really try and make some moves, and right there just ran out of real estate and got into the side of Kostema there and got him into the sand. And then I think there was like 3 or 4 cars off the racetrack there, but no full course caution, possibly a caution down there in the keyhole, but we are still underway. David Dirks doing everything he can still to get by the 25 of Crozet.
And Rob, that really is with that really bonsai inside pass. If you can make it work, it's great. But as you can see, I think Pete was maybe just a little bit wide, and Kostema was right there, side-to-side touch, and off they both went with a big spin. And then other cars had nowhere to go with the 2 of them spinning, and everybody ended up kind of choosing their own route through the sandbox there.
We saw the 28 of Richard Baldwin there for a moment. Back to David Dirks, currently in the 2nd spot behind Jeremy Crozet.
Looks like Jeremy's put a big gap now on David. using that lap traffic and maybe all of the craziness that happens. So the gap has opened up now in SpecZ. Jeremy Crozet is just about, looks like he's put an 11-second lead now on David Dirks.
So there is McIntosh working his way through the 16. Clark Crawford working his way through turn number 1, headed to Keyhole.
You can see that spin really cost Pete McIntosh. He's been dropped back to 5th position now in SpecZ.
So a lot of action here as Crawford there in the red yellow numeral number 16. Goes a little high down in Keyhole. Ran 5th both of the qualifying events on the back bumper of Richard Baldwin. That is the battle for 3rd, trying to get on the podium here in the first ever national championship in SpecZ. Working their way down the back straightaway. Through the kink, and now trying to make a move to the inside of a couple of the FFR cars. Runs out of room and it gets into the right rear. Wow, so the 28 Baldwin gets into the FFR car. Clark Crawford goes left, then back across the track. Loses a spot. Holy cow.
This is turning into a real barn burner, and unfortunately I think that's really going to cost Baldwin, because to me that kind of touch, you spin somebody around, you hit him in the rear like that, that can be very costly when the race directors review the footage later on after our race goes checker. But Pete McIntosh managed to capitalize on that. He's charging right back up through the field.
Yeah, Pete McIntosh involved in that incident in Keyhole a lap ago, trying to reel these guys back in as they cross the stripe in front of us here in the booth. Jeremy Crozet, a huge lead in SpecZ. And as the rest of the cars cross the stripe, David Dirks in 2nd, Baldwin into 3rd now, McIntosh back up to the 4th spot.
It looks like Crozet is actually, he's increasing his lead a little bit to almost 13 seconds now.
You can see here comes Dirks trying to get to the outside, maybe an outside in move on some of the slower FFR cars, and these guys are still battling for position with each other, and they have to worry about the faster SpecZs coming through there. See a couple of the CMC cars. Derek Wright in the 913 working his way through. Currently running 5th in CMC. Chris Ferraro is your leader in the 14 car, as again, David Dirks works his way back up through Madness. Got a little clear track in front of him.
He's got some work to do because he's got a lot of lap traffic there, and Jeremy is still just pulling out and really starting to do the same thing he did in the Honda Challenge 2 race yesterday. Oh, we got a big incident here.
28 car on his lid. That is the SpecZ number 28 of Richard Baldwin. We were just talking about him. You know, yesterday we saw Jay Mattis get upside down, and we do see that Baldwin is climbing out of the race car, so good news there as the safety personnel down there very quickly on the scene to get the 28 car taken care of and get Baldwin attended to.
Looks like we have about 10 minutes left, and I imagine this is a full course yellow. We've just seen the full course yellow come out, so we have 10 minutes left. Hopefully the Mid-Ohio safety crew is one of the best. Maybe they can flip that Z over and get it out of there. But this may be kind of the end of the green flag action in our race here. We'll hope that they can clear it and we can get back to green flag racing.
There is Pete McIntosh in the 3 car. As again, full course caution here in our first race of the day.
Well, we'll use this caution period to get on our Samson Racing Communications radio network and check in with our SpecZ leader, Jeremy Crozet. Jeremy, Rob Klepper, and John Lindsay up here in the booth. Wondering how it's going for you out there, man.
That I'm trying to master while driving. One of those being I lost the power steering and my arms are wearing out quickly.
Well, Jeremy, if you've lost the power steering, then it's nice to get a little bit of a rest to get your arms back in shape.
Yeah, but I did have a 13-second gap, so I could slow down the pace a lot and just try to maintain that gap, but that gap's all gone now.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, you can stay well motivated there, and hopefully you're going to hope it takes him a while to flip that car back over, and we'll hope to see you crossing the line as our first SpecZ national champion.
Thanks, John, and hello to my loved ones and friends at home.
So right there we had Jeremy Crozet on our Samson Racing communications network with an interesting development there, Rob.
Yeah, if you don't have power steering, like you said, you can run out of steam very quick. Closing in around 8 minutes left to go in this event, and yeah, it's going to take these guys a little bit to get that the car of Baldwin turned over and off the racetrack, and then do a quick course check to make sure we are all good to go. But you've driven race cars on this racetrack with no power steering. Sounds simple. You just kind of man up and race, but it is not a simple thing to try and wheel one of these cars at these speeds around this race course.
Well, a power steering system is designed to work with you know, that kind of rack. So when you lose that assist, it's a much bigger effort than if you had a manual rack to begin with.
Well, the 28 car, as we mentioned, bringing out the full course caution, Richard Baldwin in the SpecZ. We did see him upside down. We saw that the safety crews were over there attending to him. He did climb out under his own power, which was certainly a good sign there, as he was running, I believe, in 3rd spot at the time. So looking for a podium, and again in the first ever SpecZ National Championship right here at Mid-Ohio. So we're going to take a look once again at what happened to the 28 of Richard Baldwin. And here it is in the keyhole. That is the 3 of McIntosh.
This looks like the incident we had earlier where McIntosh and Kostema collided, and then all the craziness that went there. Boy, David Dirks went off too.
Yeah, David Dirks did go off. You see some of the FFRs dodging the 3 car of McIntosh there, and that was a wild incident. No caution came out there. Everybody made it through safely. We didn't know if there was any actual damage on any of the cars or anything that hurt the handling of the cars. Dirks kind of came back out on the track, kept his position, and kept going forward. So we assumed that his car's okay at this point.
Yeah, Dirks did a little bit of dirt tracking there to come through there, just drifted it right through, and he was off and running. Some of those other cars, I saw some parts fly off, so that may have explained what was going on there. And there you can see Ferraro actually has a bumper that's waving hello to the fans over there in Madness.
Chris Ferraro leading the CMC Camaro Mustang Challenge race here, and not a whole lot of time left in our first event here today. Right around 6 minutes unofficially, so if you're going to try and make a run to get on the podium or get the win here in this national championship, now's the time, as everybody is bunched up. And like Crozet said, no power steering, getting a little tired, and now that 13 to 14 second lead is gone. So doesn't look like we're getting the green flag this time, but he's going to have his work cut out for him to keep everyone else behind him off him. Now you can see between him and I think the 76 car of David Dirks, he's got a handful of cars in there as a cushion, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be there that long.
It all depends on how quickly we clear this yellow flag. If we have 1 lap left, 2 laps, we don't know how much Jeremy has left in him. Maybe he has a tube of Bengay there in the race car, and he's massaging his arms and hoping for a little relief. But boy, this could be a real thriller if David Dirks is able to work through that lap traffic and get up and challenge Jeremy Crozet now that Jeremy has some technical challenges going on with his SpecZ.
So the 14 there of Chris Ferraro, you mentioned a little damage to the rear bumper. There is the 25 of Jeremy Crozet leading SpecZ. So everyone trying to clean off their tires and get set to go back to green here. Your running order in CMC is there is the 28 car, the SpecZ car of Richard Baldwin, as the crew's down there to try and get him out. Now, on your screen, it may look like it's no problem to get through the grass, but all week and up to this morning, we had a few sprinkles this morning, but very saturated grounds here at Mid-Ohio.
And you can see they have some real specialized equipment there to try and lift the car up. It's probably got some significant damage where they couldn't get a wrecker in there just to lift it from one axle. We do have that tool available. That's referred to as the Gale, which I believe is a brand name of that kind of forklift, very specialized, able to reach into that China Beach and pluck cars out of the sand there. And you can see here it's going to go into that wet grass that would probably sink a wrecker pretty quick and be able to get Richard Baldwin out of there.
So let's give you your running order as we sit. We'll start with CMC. Chris Ferraro in the 14 is out front. Anders Shablom on the 65 from the tail running second. Kent Owens third in the 30. Bob Denton fourth in the 67. And running out your top 5 right now, the 913 of Derek Wright.
Looking at FFR, our leader is now John George. Looks like he got past Paul Kaiser. Paul Kaiser in the 2nd position. Gregory Wellinghoff in 3rd. 4th place, Brian Sanders. 5th place, Scott McKay.
And, of course, in the SpecZ, Jeremy Croizet out in front, David Dirks second, Peter McIntosh third, Clark Crawford, Richard Baldwin rounds out your top 5. So that is your running order as we sit under, once again, a full course caution. If you're just joining us live on SpeedcastTV.com, our first event of the day, a lot of great racing. We still have a lot of more great racing. A nice shot there from the GoPro Speed Shot. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll get back to green flag racing right here at the 2012 NASA Championships. The 2012 NASA Championships, presented by Toyo Tires, is brought to you by BF Goodrich Tires.
Hello, I'm Peter Calhoun, Motorsport Manager for BF Goodrich Tires. BF Goodrich is proud to be official tire supplier to Nissan SpecZ at the NASA National Championships in Mid-Ohio in 2012. BF Goodrich has a long heritage in supporting grassroots motorsport, and this year is no exception. Currently competing on our G-Force R1 DOT competition radial, the Nissan SpecZ competitors have a controlled tire that offers the ultimate in performance. In addition, this year we introduced our G-Force SportCom 2 ultra high performance street tire, suitable for all types of sports sedans, sports cars, and family sedans across America. Visit bfgoodrichtires.com for additional information.
Bum bum. 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 Bum bum.
Honda, proud partner of the IZOD IndyCar Series.
I don't know, some people call me one of the top builders. I guess I am, but I don't see any other way for me personally but to go after it every day. So that's what I do.
What do you drive? Is it inspiring? Was it built by a behemoth car maker? Or insightful craftsmen obsessing over the details, building better cars for a discerning few? Are you one of the few who care about what you drive and how it drives? We're with you because we believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. We build Mazdas. What do you drive?
Hi, I'm Brian Miller. Experience the Mustang driving experience at Miller Motorsports Park. Drive a real race car on a real racetrack. MillerMotorsportsPark.com.
Back at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, as you can see, the 28 car SpecZ of Richard Baldwin still on the racetrack. The reason for a full course caution here in the first event of the afternoon. SpecZ looking for their first national champion. Also the CMC cars and FFR, if you're just joining us here live on SpeedcastTV.com alongside John Lindsay. I'm Rob Klepper. Nice shot on the front straightaway, the GoPro Speed Shot. Nice overcast and sunny day here in Lexington, Ohio, the very historic Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. And we're closing in here on the first race of the day. Not a lot of time left, John, so if we do get back to green, it could get crazy.
It could get crazy. So I think we have a very small time left. I predict it might be a green checker or green-white checker, something in that nature. Jeremy Croizet fighting that Dunn power steering, so he's what he's got now is what we call Armstrong power steering.
Yeah, he's going old school.
He's going old school.
Yeah, he's going old school with no power steering, and the racing term is you got to get your elbows up because you're looking. Not only are you looking for a national championship, you're leading right now, so you're in the catbird seat. He does have, I think, 6 cars between him and 76 of David Dirks, technically second in the race for the national championship in SpecZ, so he has a little bit of breathing room. And it looks like now we're being told we're going to get back underway as the green flag comes out on the back straightaway. Here we go. Time running out here in our first event of the day. And there goes Jeremy Croizet trying to put more cars between him and that 76 of David Dirks, but has to be nice and gingerly, nice and polite working up here through madness.
Well, he does, and he wants to be careful because here we have our top 3 in FFR. And he doesn't want to disturb that race and get in the middle of those guys. But Jeremy also is doing the darndest job that he can to get through these guys so he can put these tough FFR competitors that are very hard to get around because these are the top guys. And and put them between him and David Dirks.
Right behind second place in FFR, the 8 car of Paul Kaiser, leading, as we mentioned earlier, the 48 car of John George. So the top 2 cars right there battling for the lead in Factory 5 Racing. Crozet leading SpecZ third in line as they head into the carousel and back here to the front straightaway.
Looks like we'll have a white flag this time by, so one more lap remaining in our FFR, CMC, and SpecZ race. Oh, I was wrong. No white flag this time by.
And Crozet jumping off, had the right side tires in the grass there as they cross the stripe, trying to get by Kaiser in the 8. There is Ferraro with the bumper still hanging on, waving at the fans as he goes up into a madness, but now into Keyhole. He is leading CMC. So there's your FFR leader, 3 cars back, your SpecZ, and then 2 cars back from him, or 1 car now, the 14 of Ferraro, and it looks like
Gregory Wellinghoff got right around Jeremy there, and that may have been Jeremy going a little wide because he just could not turn that wheel hard enough to stay on the preferred line there.
Yeah, and his crew's talking to him. He knows that he's got a little bit of breathing room between him and Dirks. You can see, we didn't even see Dirks there on the screen coming through the kink, so
look at this battle with Wellinghoff and Paul Kaiser right there. They were jinking back and forth right there, coming down to madness, trying to get by one another.
That's the top 3 in FFR, George Kaiser and Gregory Wellinghoff there in the 77, followed by the 25 of Jeremy Crozet leading SpecZ. So as they head up underneath the Honda Bridge down into Thunder Valley, the battle for second in FFR, the 8 of Kaiser, the 77 of Wellinghoff.
And Crozet may have decided to hang back and let those 3 guys check out because they're running lap times that are pretty darn good and pretty close to what he could probably turn with that bunk power steering. So I think he's made the decision to hang back, let those guys have their battle. He thinks he may have enough with Dirks behind him, but we will see if David Dirks can come up and challenge Jeremy Crozet for the national championship in SpecZ.
White flag has been displayed, 1 lap to go as Jeremy Crozet continues by the GoPro Speed Shot, your leader in SpecZ. Let's eyeball the FFR as they battle for second.
And look at this. Peter McIntosh has actually come up and taken second away from David Dirks in SpecZ.
There is Crozet as we saw a battle there again for the second spot in FFR as they head through the Keyhole down the back straightaway. 1 lap as the white flag has been displayed. Final lap here, our first event of the day. Jeremy Crozet trying to become the first ever SpecZ national champion. The 48 car leading in FFR, that is John George.
And look at this, we had big lockup from Gregory Wellinghoff as he came into that madness corner. Paul Kaiser capitalized on that and took the second spot.
Down madness as they work into turn 7. They'll head through the Honda Bridge for the final time. It is John George, Paul Kaiser, Gregory Wellinghoff, the top 3 in FFR. And Wellinghoff rather, struggled a little bit, finished 10th and 12th in the qualifying events, now looking for a podium finish here in the national championship.
And that was a big move right there coming into madness. Kaiser kind of jinked a little bit to the inside. Wellinghoff was pushing it as hard as he could, had some lockup, and Kaiser just totally capitalized on it going into that madness turn.
There's Jeremy Crozet coming through carousel for the final time. Behind him, the 14 of Ferraro, as the checker flag comes out. John George will get the win in FFR. Crozet will cross the stripe. Very tired arms to pick up the win in SpecZ, and Chris Ferraro in the 14 car will win in CMC. So checker flag waving, national champions have been crowned. Everyone else continues to cross the stripe, and you know what? It came down to it there. I know that John George probably didn't want to see that that caution come out, but he made it work. Those guys got to racing behind him, and he picked up the title here in FFR. There is Jeremy Crozet, the SpecZ national champion.
All right, well, we will pull up our Samson Racing Communications radio network again and visit with Jeremy. Jeremy, John Lindsay, and Rob Klepper here, looking for some comments. How are your arms, buddy? You won it.
Oh man, my arms are wore out, John. We battled a number of small little mechanical things that almost took us out of this, and we just were able to hold on and capture that victory. I got to say a big thanks to Nissan for supporting this class, and BF Goodrich, Wave Track, Hawk, gosh, KW, all the guys that the companies that really support this class. You've got to get a head start. So thank you.
Hey Jeremy, it's Rob Klepper. Congratulations, man. But how difficult was it with no power steering on you as a driver to run those last few laps on that restart?
Oh man, I actually lost the power steering system about 3 laps into the race, so my arms are absolutely dead. And I have another race later today.
And why are you stopped on the course there, Jeremy?
That's why he stopped. A few donuts on the race course for Jeremy Croizet. I'm sure his arms are feeling okay now for the donuts.
Well, I bet the adrenaline is absolutely... So, Jeremy, you had to deliver some donuts for the fans up there. Good job, man. We're proud of you.
Thanks, guys. Wow, what an accomplishment. That's number 2 so far.
Well, he mentioned, yeah, number 2 so far this weekend. He won Honda Challenge 2 one day ago. Let's take a look at our results for our first event of the day. And of course, in SpecZ, the 25, Jeremy Croizet picking up the win. Pete McIntosh comes home second. David Dirks on the podium in third. Clark Crawford, Richard Baldwin, and Richard Kulak round out your field.
For FFR, our winner is John George, followed by Paul Kaiser on the next step of the podium, Gregory Wellinghoff in third, Brian Sanders in fourth, Carl Thompson III in fifth, Scott McKay coming home in sixth position, Eric Kostema in seventh, Wayne Patterson in eighth position, Greg Wellinghoff in ninth, and Peter LaRose in the 10th spot.
And finally in CMC, the 14 of Chris Ferraro picks up the win. Anders Shablom comes from dead last to finish in the second spot. Kent Owens, the final podium spot, comes home third. Then Derek Wright, Daniel Alford, Cody Powell, Craig Capaldi, Bob Denton, Timothy Bennett, and Joe Bogatic, your top 10 in CMC. So a great race there. A little bit of drama. Good to see that the 28 car, Richard Baldwin, did get out and was okay.
That's the best thing to see, because our end goal at the end of the weekend is to send everybody home safe and happy.
So one race in the books, a lot of more racing to come here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Jeremy Scott is down track side, and he's talking to our winners. Jeremy?
Thank you very much, Rob. A very happy Chris Ferraro. You beat the defending champion. Congratulations. Let's talk about how you feel. Ken Owens comes in the shot. It was a wild race, though. Let's talk about that.
It was a wild race. Got a good start. We were anticipating a good start. Second row was fine for us. Those double yellows at restart. I mean, I don't know how many cars got together up there in Keyhole. We got bumped in the front, got bumped in the rear. But it was a lot of work. That Anders was right there in my mirror the whole time there after that second restart. And we just did what we had to do to get it home. It's great. It's great. Thanks for Anders for joining us to give me the rematch, and we're ecstatic.
Let's talk about the rear bumper. What happened there with, I guess you had a parachute there at the end too.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know I haven't even looked at it yet, but coming up to Keyhole, everybody got bottled up, a couple cars locked up in front, and there was just a big gaggle of cars in there. I got into the back of somebody. I don't even know who hit me in the rear. But we had a little shimmy after that. I guess it was that parachute back there, but it just played in our favor today, and we're very happy. I have to thank my wonderful wife and daughter at home, and Drew and Josh Fandango Racing. Couldn't have done it without you guys. I love you guys, and thank you, NASA, and thank you guys for coming out and supporting us, and we really appreciate it. It's great to have you here.
Congratulations, Chris. Let's go talk. We know we talked to Jeremy Croizet just a few minutes ago on the on-air, but let's talk to him again. He just came into the impound area. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the impound area. This is the car at the end of the race. You know, they'll corral the drivers and they'll send them over to the podium and the tech ceremonies. Let's see. Okay, Jeremy has his helmet on, still talking with his get Paul R. The spec. Okay.
Problem with Jeremy Scott down there in the tech area. Very excited, Chris Ferraro. It's good to see him get the win.
That was a very excited Chris. Didn't run out of gas this year. Had a little bumper damage, as he noted. Little bump and grind there in CMC, but he came home and won himself a national championship.
And you can see the sun starting to peek out a little bit more here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Well, of course, 3 more big races, as well as time trial. 1 more time trial session out on the racetrack, John. We've got Performance Touring coming up, STR, Super Unlimited as well. And then, of course, I like to see all those Porsches out on the racetrack. 944 Spec and the rest of those guys out there.
You bet. We have Spec 986 and also our Spec E30. So, again, a little bit of a German flavor for the afternoon. Yes. And that should be another great race. Last year, those guys were racing in the wet, in the rain, and had a little bit of a crazy time. But this year, knock on wood, we should be okay for the Spec 944 and Spec E30 race later today.
And again, for the official results, you can always go online to NASAchampionships.com. And for all things NASA, you can find them online at NASAProRacing.com. Well, let's get it back down to the victory lane, the podium area, to Jeremy Scott.
And if I put you between me and Thanks, Rob. Turns out I can't walk and talk at the same time. But congratulations, Jeremy. 2 for 2 this weekend so far. Let's talk about that win. You came from the last and back up to the front.
Yeah, that was a tough win. I got a good start. Just was trying to be patient with Dirks. He's really fast, really tough competitor. Smooth lines and just is very consistent. So it was very hard to get by him. And once I finally got by him, I was able to work the traffic really well and put some distance between us. And then I had to battle a couple mechanical gremlins. I lost the power steering just 3 laps into the race, which my arms are just wore out. I mean, these 285s on this car are a beast trying to get around the track with no power steering. So it was still a lot of fun.
As I say, you lost your power steering. That's got to be tough, especially on the back part of the section with the S's in Thunder Valley.
Yeah, the hardest parts are really the transitions, because you got to flick the wheel back real quick, and without the aid of the power steering, it's really tough to get the car to move back over. And then as you're going through a constant radius corner, the wheel's always constantly wanting to work its way out of your hands. So really tough situation. But I got to give a thanks to BFG. They've been really behind this and all quarters of it. It's just been a phenomenal event so far with NASA. NASA puts on one of the best events in the country, and if you're not here, you're missing out.
Congratulations, Jeremy. Rob, I'll throw it back to you. I want to get Paul Arnold one last time, and then hopefully we'll get to talk to our FFR winner, guys.
Well, thanks a lot, Jeremy. Good going down there, and very busy in the tech area post-race, John, which you know very well, my friend.
I do. I'm the chief scrutineer for the 25 Hours of Thunder Hill, which is another one of our signature events up in lovely Willows, California, about an hour and a half north of my hometown of Davis, California. And yeah, it's a hard job because you have to look at so many different things. In classes like Spec Miata, you are darn near tearing the whole car down to the frame and handing it back to the competitor in a box. Other different classes, we have a dynamometer running to verify horsepower levels for some of our classes, but the technical inspection area is always a challenge. We even had fuel analysis going on yesterday. It looked like an episode of Breaking Bad with 2 guys in fume hoods putting stuff in beakers, but we really want to ensure that we can uphold all of our national champions as being completely legal and totally checked out.
And there is a pre-race tech. I mean, you guys run a lot of these cars through pre-race tech to make sure they're good to race, and then of course you tech them all again at the end of the race to make sure no one messed around or had any funny business in between.
That's right, Rob. And our chief of tech, Jeff Moeller, actually told me on Friday, before we even got into the heavy lifting, that he had run, I think, 200 cars through basic compliance checks.
Wow.
And 600 cars over the scales. So they had already done that much on Friday, just ensuring the results from the qualifying races and the qualifying sessions were legal. So I know there were cars in little pieces when I drove by last evening, and it really is a credit to that whole tech crew up there. A lot of old friends up there that I work with regularly, and it's great to see them doing such a thorough job and ensuring that all of our national championships, or all of our national champions, I should say, are too legit to quit.
Too legit to quit, going old school. Well, let's go new school. Go back down to the podium with Jeremy Scott.
Nice, I like that sound, new school. Anyway, John George is here. He is our Factory 5 winner. Congratulations. Let's start off with the restarts. You had some moments back there, 2nd and 3rd. Do you think that you had a challenge there?
Possibly. The first restart, I actually got passed by Paul, and then I guess something happened to his car, and I was able to get around him. And then I built a gap again, and then the second yell came out. So I was like, not again. But this time I knew his engine was down, and Gregory was behind him, and I knew Paul would keep Gregory behind him at all costs. So I was pretty safe up there. So I built the gap again and bring it home.
You say after that second restart, you didn't have to worry because second and third were battling with each other. Is that the point when you thought, okay, maybe I can just relax a little bit and just bring it home to victory?
Oh no, you can't relax. You got to push all the way. So it was good.
John, congratulations. Anyone you want to thank today?
Yep, I'd like to thank Factory 5 for building a great car, Toyo Tire for sticking me to the road, Hawk brake pads, and Mark Doherty. Thanks.
Congratulations. Rob and John, going to throw it back up to you. We'll see you guys in a bit.
Well, thanks a lot, Jeremy, Scott, and again, congratulations to all of the national champions crowned in that event. John George, of course, in Factory 5 Racing, Camaro Mustang Challenge, CMC rather, Chris Ferraro, and Jeremy Croisset in SpecZ. First year in SpecZ, we've talked about it. John, you got to be pretty happy with the way it's all worked out to this point.
We're thrilled. The class has come so far in such a short amount of time. A lot of cars getting built, a lot of interest, and seeing a really nice national championship race here with plenty of excitement. That's a great cap for the first season of SpecZ.
So again, a beautiful day here in Central Ohio. Tell your friends we're live on SpeedcastTV.com. First race is in the books, and it was crazy wild. Congratulations to the winner, the FFR John George, CMC Chris Ferraro, and SpecZ Jeremy Croisset. We're going to take about an hour break for lunch, but keep it right here. A lot of more great racing here from Mid-Ohio live on SpeedcastTV.com. The 2012 NASA Championships presented by Toyo Tires is brought to you by BF Goodrich Tires.
Hello, I'm Peter Calhoun, Motorsport Manager for BF Goodrich Tires. BF Goodrich is proud to be official tire supplier to Nissan SpecZ at the NASA National Championships in Mid-Ohio in 2012. BF Goodrich has a long heritage in supporting grassroots motorsport, and this year is no exception. Currently competing on our G-Force R1 DOT competition radial, the Nissan SpecZ competitors have a controlled tire that offers the ultimate in performance. In addition, this year we introduced our G-Force Sport Com 2 ultra high performance street tire, suitable for all types of sports sedans, sports cars, and family sedans across America. Visit bfgoodrichtires.com for additional information.
Bum bum. 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 Bum bum.
Honda, proud partner of the IZOD IndyCar Series.
I don't know, some people call me one of the top builders. I guess I am, but I don't see any other way for me personally but to go after it every day. So that's what I do.
What do you drive? Is it inspiring? Was it built by a behemoth car maker? Or insightful craftsmen obsessing over the details, building better cars for a discerning few? Are you one of the few who care about what you drive and how it drives? We're with you because we believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. We build Mazdas. What do you drive?
Hi, I'm Brian Miller. Experience the Mustang driving experience at Miller Motorsports Park. Drive a real race car on a real racetrack. MillerMotorsportsPark.com